We are doing the research for many reasons, but this is not clear to everyone that why you are doing the research. Some of them they are thinking that they are doing the research only just for their promotion. Some of them they are thinking that they are doing the research just for the getting that like publicity. Some of them they are thinking that they are doing this one just for finishing the PhD program. The question is there that in fact what we are doing the research. That is very important thing is that when we have to do the research, our first target we have to think how we could contribute to the society by your research outcomes. This contribution could be the different way, like you can do some contribution for the academics in terms of research. You can add some values to the organization, industry, corporate application by your research works. Or finally, definitely your ultimate target is the society. So when you come to the like society contribution, the first thing will come up there, how you can choose that research topic. So this is very important in that sense because based on the research topic, you have to proceed. So now our discussion is on that one, that how we can do the select the research topic, and how we'll come up the research topic, and how we can construct the paper based on the research topic. That is very interesting thing is that if you start to think in this way, that our ultimate target is that research. But what I said earlier that you have to think that you research for the contribution for the society. If you think there is a personal purpose, this is not the research at all. So, what is the starting point of research? I'm coming to this topic. So before that, I like to start in this way. The research means search and again search and again search. And how you can start this searching? You have to start this searching from the online searching. And what is the best tools for the online searching? The best tool for the online searching is that Google. We assume that Google that is renowned as a source of knowledge. What I mentioned earlier that is the best search engine. So suppose you like to get any research topic, you are planning, you like to do the research on the human resource management, but in the which aspect of human resource management you like to do the research, and finally you explore the emotional intelligence. So you just write an emotional intelligence term in the Google search option, so that you can get the idea from there. And what I mentioned earlier that is very critical discussion is that how you can start. So that's why I said that it is a starting point that you have to think about, that you have to start from searching for the Google search option. And I always mention that Google is Professor Google, source of knowledge. Whatever we need, we can get it from there. And now come to the point, we are planning for select the one research topic. So we have started from the Google. Dr. DK Thamja, did you see my slide, or participant they can see my slide or not?
Yes, sir, I'm able to see your slide, sir.
Oh, no problem. After the Google, I said the Google is the first searching option for you, and after that you have to think that like Google Scholar, Academia.edu, or ResearchGate. This is the three I always mention that a basic need. You are familiar with the Facebook. So Facebook is very common in our social culture. So this is the something like Google Scholar, Academia.edu, ResearchGate is similar to the Facebook. But this Facebook is that like the academics Facebook. This is the platform for the researcher, young scholar, academics people. Then you can get the professional people as well. So we suggest that you can start by the Google Scholar, Academia.edu, ResearchGate. Say I suggest you that you should open the account in Google Scholar. Those you don't have the account, I like to request that you have to open the account there. There are some universities in the world, and they are keeping the university. They have norms that every faculty member they must use their Google Scholar, Academy.edu, or ResearchGate, or ORCID, or something like. They have to mention in their email signature option, so that when you send an email, everybody can see your Google Scholar. That means you are recognized as a researcher in the platform. So I suggest you that you can open the account there, and if you have the Google Scholar account, then you can search in the Google Scholar. That you can select topics on the human management. So you can get some topics. and it is the screening the topics. I'm discussing how you can screen the topics now. So you are searching some topics on the human resource management, and you can go ahead one by one. Open the account, the academy review. This is another academic place. I suggest you that place your account in the Google Academy.edu. It's not very simple. If you have a university email address, you can do this one very simply. And you know that every day you can see the lots of research they are giving the update. So you can get the information of the contemporary research topics. You can get the contemporary research topics. So they're mentioned, we publish this one, that one. So that is the way. And not only that, you are getting that academics people, you can connect with them. And the ResearchGate, this is another platform, and is very popular as well. I suggest you that try to open the account in the ResearchGate. If you open the account in the ResearchGate, what is the advantage is that you can share your valuable works with them. With them means the academics, professional scholars. What I said earlier, if you open the account in the Facebook, you don't know who is that person. Sometimes there's a fake people will be there. Sometimes you can do the chatting with the driver, you can do the chatting with the maid, you can do the chatting with the cleaner because they have also Facebook account. But this kind of like ResearchGate, what I said earlier, this is a scholar's account. This is a professional account. So automatically you can do some interaction. And you know that my earlier speaker, he already mentioned that why we organize the conference. We organize the conference so that we can get the connectivity. We can get the connectivity with the scholars, academics people, and then researcher. So ResearchGate is that kind of platform which you can spend some time every day. So that is something what I mentioned earlier, that you have to open the account there. And I like to request after today's session, you have to make a plan and that how you can open the account and how you can utilize this one. Because if you could utilize this one, it's the best option is that to get the research topic. Why you are asking the people that can you give me one research topic where I can do the PhD, where I can do the research? No need. You can explore the own research topic. And you know that if you ask at this moment what kind of research you can do, if you notice that now the COVID-19 pandemic is going on, but you have to choose the topics in the pandemic. That which topic you can do the research. And you know that if you do the research, any kind of research nowadays in the pandemic, definitely you get the fund. So that is the way that you have to understand contemporary practice. That's how you need this kind of platform where you can do the essays, where you can do the interaction with the others, you can share your opinion, you can try to get their opinion. That is the way of expansion. And then I suggest you that you should open the account, the researcher ID. That is the more up to date. I would say that if you have if you have the paper in the if you have the Web of Science, then you have to get the account there. So that means you need the one paper in the Web of Science indexing. So if you have a Web of Science paper, the automatic your ID will be created, and you can use this ID. And usually international, especially the USA, this kind of account holder, they're getting some privilege in terms of research. So we are talking about the high quality research. So when you know that you have the account in research ID, so you can check how many papers you have there. So if possible, it is a little bit up to date level. So if you have like few paper and then one paper in the Web of Science Index, then automatically the researcher ID will be created. Working ID, you know that USA, if you are planning for the settle down in the USA, that if you like to join in the university as a university faculty member, they are always asking you that to provide your working ID. So if you provide your working ID, they have to explore you. They like to visit you. They like to know who are you. And even that nowadays it happens that during the immigration process, they are also checking this kind of site, that what happened is there, what they are doing this, what kind of research they are doing there, like the confirmation about the research work. And Scopus ID, what I mentioned that if you have the Scopus Index journal paper, then automatically Scopus ID will be created. These three, Scopus ID, Orchid ID, Researcher ID, they're interconnected. They're interconnected. So if you have one account, automatically it will be the interchange. So automatically the account will be created and you can use this account for the interaction. IEEE, I think those are the engineering background or science background. You have the IEEE account. So it is also the another place where you can do the professional networking. We are talking about that how you can get the topics. So that's why you are talking about the online searching. In order to explore the topic, you have to go to this kind of online searching option. I again remind you once a time that our main target is that Google Scholar Academic Review ResearchGate to get that to get the research topic, to get the like co-researcher, to get the co-author, something like that. So that is the place for the place for the researchers, academics, the people. That is another one thing I like to remind you. The LinkedIn is another professional site, but LinkedIn is not the researcher at all. It is also the like industry people, corporate people. But you can also do the same thing, the LinkedIn. And recently we noticed that LinkedIn profile searching people is lots of people they're searching every day. So you can get the more audiences, more participants in the LinkedIn rather than this kind of research site. But maybe you couldn't get the research topics there properly. However, in order to connect with the professional people, you also have to need the LinkedIn profile. And the another advantage of what I said that suppose when you are doing the research, you are the academic researcher, but we need the interaction with the industry people. So the LinkedIn is the industry people, the corporate people, lots of corporate people will be there. So that is another way that as an academic people, how we can connect with the industry people or corporate people. So you can open the account, the LinkedIn. Let's go back to our main topic that how we can get that topics. So now we assume that there is some site you have to visit and you have to explore the topics. And definitely online database is another option for you to search that research topic. We are talking about this issue is very essential in that sense because without the research topic, how you can do the research. So that means you should give the more concentration on this one. And usually, if you do the PhD research, you always spend in that first year of the PhD, or at least a 6 months to onward, just for the searching the topics. And if you, as you are familiar with this one, you know the most or many people in the world, they are very critical thinking in terms of choosing the research topic. At first, they choose the one topics, and then they move to another research topic, and then move to another research topic, and finally they notice that they are wasting the time. So I suggest that personally that as I'm supervised a PhD student, what I noticed that even they are not confirmed about the topics. So that is the best option is that before coming to the like any topics, you have to need the some self confirmation. And how you can get the self confirmation? That is the option that online database searching. I believe that every university they have the like online database. So suppose that you're a very young scholar, so you have to go to the like online database. I personally remind you again, it is not that necessary to go to all online database. You can choose the one online database and you have to visit that database. Say you choose that like say you are choosing that ProQuest, and your university they have the institutional access on ProQuest. So ProQuest is that online database. It's for the management related. And now you have to visit the ProQuest. So what you can do, you can write down your topics. Your topic is the broader perspective, like is what I said earlier, human resource management. Click on, and then you can search the topics. You can check the recent papers. Recent papers means now 2020. You can check that 2020 or 2019. Usually we assume that recent means the last 5 years. So you can check the 2016 to onward papers. 2016 to onward papers. You can check this one. And then check, you can see the research topic on human resource management. Our target, the contemporary topics you have to explore. Maybe you can get the like green HRM. Is a new topic. Emotional intelligence. Something new. Something new. Say when you are talking about the human resource management, then this is another issue: the total quality management. Total quality management in HRM is how you can adopt the total quality management concept in the HRM concept. Because you know that HRM practice is the like long-term process, is a continuous process, but you have to go the topics. So that's why this another issue will be the like total quality management. I suggest you the when you search the online database. So today you are searching. Today the December 10 you are searching. So December 10 you search the 5 paper. You can open the one folder. The folder will be the name of the date, today date, and then 5 papers will be gathered there. Then you can review the paper. Still, we are not getting the topics. You are just reviewing that the previous papers, already existing papers. So that you can come up with the new topics, you can come up with your own research topic. What I said there earlier, that I suggested that no need to visit the all online database. At least the one online database is enough, because if you do choose the like many online database, then maybe you can get the redundant paper. Same paper you'll get it, the different online database. So it's better to use the one online database. And what I said that you have to store the folder according to the date, and you have to keep the paper there. This is an example of online database, the Scopus online database. This is the ProQuest online database, Emerald online database, EBSCO online database, Web of Science, Thomson Reuters online database. So this is some of the online database, what I said earlier. So I suggest you that you have to spend some time on online database in order to explore the topics. In order to explore the topics, then you have to decide. Okay. Now, come to the point is that I give you the few paths. I mentioned at first that you can search on the Google. Then I said that you can search in Google Scholar, Academic Review, ResearchGate, and then I said that you can search on the online database. Now I said that you can search in the open access. What is that? Basically, there are two type of access. One is the open access and the traditional access or conventional access. Traditional conventional access means that they have to ask you to purchase the book, purchase the journal, something like that. And open access means free access. It's open, free, no cost. You know that when you search in the Google, you'll face this problem. Sometimes you notice that some of the publication are the free of cost. Some of the publication, in order to get the access, you have to purchase. So it means that when you search in the Google, you can get the both open access and traditional access. And what I noticed that young scholar, the young academicians, young researcher, they don't want to purchase anything. So it's created a negative impact. So that's why if you know the culture that open access, that easy for you to take some decision. I personally suggest you that why you are searching on the Google, why not you can go directly to the open access site. If you go to the directly to the open access side, what is the advantage is that you don't bother about this one. You don't bother about this one whether is possible to access or not, because what I mentioned here, you can get the access very easily. I would personally suggest you that is very interesting thing is that if you know the open access directly, so you go to there, spend some time there. So what is the open access? Like Intech. Intech Open is very popular open access, Intech Open, and I suggest you that you can spend some time on that. And open access Intech. There's other open access. You can also write in the Google that open access publisher. You can get lots of open access there. What I mentioned earlier that what is the advantage of the open access? You don't bother about this one. So you can search a book chapter, you can search the conference paper, you can search the journal paper. So that is another way how you could get the research topic. Our target is that you have to explore research topics, and that is the another option is that open access how you can get the research topic. Okay. I just remind you again once a time that if you search in the Google, you can get the both access, open access and traditional access, and we are not expecting that you have to purchase anything. So that's why we should go for the like the open access. So open access would be the another platform where you can get the research topic. You remember that earlier I just now I mentioned about this issue is that when you search anything you'll get some things and then you have to explore, you have to read it, you have to review that one. Now come to the point is that when you store this research publication, then how you can do this one? Definitely you have two options, soft copy and hard copy, but I personally suggest you that soft copy storing is better nowadays. You know that research always continuous process, and in order to do the research always you have to change your mindset. Earlier 20 years before that people they did use that like a hard copy, but nowadays they don't want to use the hard copy. They like to apply the soft copy. So I suggest you that you can go for the soft copy story. So you can use that Dropbox, Google Drive, or email on specific email you can apply. What is the advantage is that you are now in the process of selecting the topics. Still, you are not getting the U topic. So during this process, and after getting your topics, then you have to start the research, full swings. But our initial discussion on here, how you are getting the topic. That's why you are storing the paper to review and come up with the research topic. And what I said, the soft copy story is easy for you because you can get the access anywhere. You are on the home, you're in the university, you're in the out of country, does not matter. Matter is that you can get the access. So that's why you said soft copy story. And now come to the next question, that how you can review the soft copy. There is a PDF file, the sticky note. So you can use a sticky note in the PDF file so that you can review this one soft copy, and you can note it down in sticky note. Next time when you open the file, you can see the sticky note. You can do the hard copy, no problem. But I would say that is a very traditional and the very old process. So let's go for the latest something, the soft copy. So what I mentioned that in order to come up the topics, at least you have to review the papers. And if you ask me that how many papers review, I would say that it is best one is that if you could review the 1,000 papers. And how many days you have to spend? At least 6 months onward. So your target, you like to get the research topic. In order to come to the research topic, you are searching the papers. And then you have to review the papers. Okay, I'll show you how you can review the paper. You target to get the explore the new idea, new topic. So what you can do? First of all, you have to, when you get any previous paper, check their abstract. Check the abstract. What part of their area they are focusing? I again remind you that there is a question of the redundant work, there's a question of the plagiarism, redundant work. So you have to make sure that when you choose the topic, it's very important. It should not be the 100% similar topic. So you can check the previous research topic and then you can decide how can you modify. So first of all, you have to check the abstract. After doing the abstract, then you have to check the conclusion. Go to the conclusion. You know that if you go to the conclusion, you can see this one. If you go to the conclusion, then you can understand this one. That in the conclusion part, whether they have a findings, whether they have the further study, whether they have the limitation. You have to check this one. I suggest you that it is very important to think is that if you have the previous paper, their findings, their further study, their limitation, that means you are getting some point. So check it carefully, whether they mention any kind of contribution. If they mention any kind of contribution, check it very carefully. Maybe that is a starting point of your research. So I personally suggest you that, if possible, you can do this way. Like at first review the abstract, then you go to the conclusion, and in the conclusion you can see. In the conclusion you can see whether they have further study, their findings, their limitation, their contribution. That could be the one way that how you can get the topics. We are discussing about this issue that how we can get the topics now. So that is the way that how you can do that. If you notice that your abstract and conclusion of the previous paper is understandable, is very matching with your topics, very matching with your liking, then I suggest you that go to the introduction, literature review, and so on. Go to the introduction, literature review, and so on. I personally suggest you, when you are searching the topic at this time, do not review that statistic analysis. No need to check the statistic analysis. Statistical analysis part you can choose later on. Okay. So what I said that abstract, conclusion, combined introduction, literature review, and so on. Avoid the statistic analysis part. We are talking about the topics, and when you are planning for the topic, at the same time you have to understand various types of research work. So the based on that, you have to decide that how you can construct your paper based on the topic. You know, there are a few types of research like exploratory research, descriptive research, causal research. Look very carefully. Exploratory research means explore the new idea, new concept, new theory. So if you do the exploratory research, then your topics will be the exploratory. Explore the new idea. So when you choose the topic, you have to think that our target is the exploratory research. Usually, exploratory research, we assume that there will be no conclusive evidence. In exploratory research, we assume that subsequent research will be there. Means prospective researcher, they will do the research based on your topic. We assume that. That is the exploratory research. What is the example of the exploratory research? The pure research, we called it the PhD research. Research-based PhD. Exploratory research. Explore the new idea, new concept, new model. On the other hand, if you go to the descriptive research, basically descriptive research based on the industry, based on the organization, based on the phenomena. So describe the characters of population, phenomena, object, organization. This is a descriptive research. You like to do the research on Tata. You like to do the research on Tesco. You like to do the research on the Walmart, the descriptive research, and you have some understanding. You have some understanding about the problem. Exploratory research, you have no understanding about the problem. But descriptive research, you have some understanding. So based on the understanding, you can proceed. When I say that, let's do the research on the operational excellence in Tata. So Tata Group, you are familiar with the Tata Group? You have some understanding. That is the way, what you call the descriptive research. So when you choose a topic, then you have to decide in this way whether you like to do the exploratory research or causal research. Causal research means the cost and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship means if you do the comparative study between the two, if you do the comparative study among the 3, 4, that is the time you can use that causal research. So comparative study. And now come to the point, when you choose the topic, you have to decide as well what type of research you can do. If you have an understanding about the research, then you can make a plan that what will be your topics. Say, exploratory research topic and the descriptive research topics could be same, but presentation should be different. Exploratory research, you target, you have to develop the new idea, new concept, new model. And descriptive research, your target is that you have to do the research based on the case study, based on the organization, based on the current phenomena, based on the known phenomena, something like that. In terms of the uncertainty, you can see this one. Causal is completely certain. Descriptive research is certain, and exploratory research is the absolute ambiguity, uncertain. What I said, in terms of certainty, exploratory research is completely uncertain. Descriptive research is certain. Causal research is that completely certain. So now you understand. When you choose a topic, you know that your time frame. You don't have enough time. Like 3 months to 6 months, you have to finish the research. So it's better do not go to the exploratory research. You can go to the descriptive research or causal research. So then you have to understand. And now come to the next one. In terms of problem, exploratory research is unaware of problem, and descriptive research is aware of problem, and causal is a problem clearly defined. And you know that it is very interesting thing is that exploratory research, we always mention that is very difficult to explore the problem. Problem statement is not very easy to define. On the other hand, you have some understanding about the problem in the descriptive research. So what I mentioned here is very important thinking is that you have to decide when you do the research, real research, that you have to choose the topics, you have to understand that what type of research you are going to do. If you are planning to do the exploratory research, then you have to remember that you have to understand that maybe the it is a total uncertain thinking, and you have you have no known phenomena. So that means you have to explore the new idea and come up with the decision. This is another way of defining the research, descriptive, basic research and applied research. And you know that is very interesting thing is that I mentioned earlier exploratory research, descriptive research, causal research. Now this is a basic and applied research. I believe that you have already some understanding about this one. I don't want to talk too much about this one, as it is not our target to discuss. But you have to understand. Say you like to do the research on. I just give one phenomenon, like a serve qual model. You are developing a new model of service quality. This is the basic research based on the PhD research. But when you are going to apply the serve qual model, if you are planning to apply the serve qual model in the any industry, this is the applied research. So you have some idea. Okay. You know that I like to make sure one thing there. Suppose I like to write down the uh, I like to write down the one model name here. I think you can see in the chat box. ITESC model. You see, I noted down here ITESA model. So usually when you design the ITSC model, that is that integrated tertiary educational supply chain management model. Integrated tertiary education supply chain management model. So this is the one model for the tertiary education institutions. Now, say this is the when you develop the model, that is the exploratory research, that is the basic research. Now you like to apply in the application of the ITSM model in the university, the applied research. So when you choose the topic, you have to always mindset. You have the enough time, then you can go to the like a basic research. But if you think that no, we don't have enough time within the say 6 months between the research, then it's better the applied research. Say you like to do the research, the traffic jam problem in the Chennai. So you like to do the root cause analysis of a traffic jam problem of Chennai. So you see, you are familiar with the Chennai, right? Some understanding you have, applied research, application-based research. So what I mentioned that you have to decide the topics that which topics you want to apply based on the research criteria. So we have to go to the backward. Think at first the what type of research you like to do, and then you have to decide the topics. And you know that is very interesting thing is that when you go for the in future real research, you can see this one. You never come up the research topics in one day. Never. A research topic finalized, in order to finalize the research topic, you have to need like a few months. So you can construct this based on your types of research. Then you can decide the research topic. So initially, maybe you can choose the one topic based on you can design title, but later on, maybe this title will be revised. Your topic will be same, but you can revise the title. So that's why I said that even it could be happen the research topics earlier you are thinking the one way now, later on you can change it. This is another type of research. I don't want to talk too much. I think you are familiar with this one, quality and quantitative research work. You just remember what I said earlier. When you choose the topic, you're deciding the title, you have to understand that whether you like to apply the qualitative research or quantitative research. You are planning, you like to do the survey. You are planning, you like to do the service, it's a quantitative research. You are planning for that one. You are planning that that is based on the like only very few samples, and only you have the like the few experts' opinion. So that means you are depend on the like subject interpretation. You like to do the research on the say dinosaur. What is the research your topics that why the dinosaur is not available nowadays? What is the reasons of the dinosaur distinguish of the dinosaur? You target that you like to explore the reasons. So first of all, you need the like the experts of dinosaurs, but you don't have the like many experts on dinosaur. So you have to explore the dinosaur in the Google search option. That the experts on dinosaurs. Then you can explore the 3 or 4 people, and then you can ask the request them to join the interview. And based on their exclusive interview, you can design the research. So what I said that is that the qualitative research. So now you understand that what I mentioned earlier. In order to come up the research topic, you have to think at first that what type of research you are doing or you're planning to do, and then come back to the research topic. Because at first you design the research topic, title, and everything, then you are thinking the research. Sometimes difficult to understand. So that's why you said that you notice that before doing the PhD dissertation, the research, we always do some coursework like research methodology, statistic analysis, advanced quantitative analysis, something like that. Why? So that you can get some idea to come up with the research topics. Okay, we have discussed the we talk about the basic and applied research. We discuss qualitative and quantitative research as well. You remember that earlier I mentioned that our target that how we can come on the research topics. So now I'll give you the another two phenomena based on that you can think that how you can get the research topics. You know that those are the university faculty member. I'm discussing about themselves at first. Those are their working the university faculty member. So every semester, every course, they have some semester project. They have some semester project. So when there are some out of 40 students, every students or each class, they have some few groups. They submit the research work, the semester project. That's very normal to semester project. If you looked at this, suppose a few of the research semester project is up to the standard. All topics are not important, all topics are not significant, but some topics they're choosing is a very hot issue. So you can invite them to write the research publication. So what I said, so you are exploring that topics from the students' research project. And based on that, you have expertise. They don't have expertise, but you can invite them. Do you want to write the paper based on semester project? So why not? You can do. That is the one way how you can get the research topics. Another one, say, suppose you are university faculty member, you are delivering the lecture in the MBA class or BBA class, undergraduate level or master's level, and now you students they are working in the practical field. After the graduations, you students they are working in the practical field. Okay, you know when they are working in the practical field, is a real life application. In the practical field, they notice something not the similar to the what we discuss in the classroom. You know that our classroom discussion is a theoretical knowledge, and what they are observing, noticing in the real life application, there is a practical knowledge. When if you could understand, there is some gap between the theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge. That is another avenue to explore, write the paper. So what I mentioned earlier, that it is the best option is that when the students they will work in the industry, sometimes you should invite them. Someday you can talk to them. You can ask them the whether they notice something different what they learned in the class. So you are talking about the like real life application with the difference between the theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge. If they said yes, sir, I notice in my organization we are not following this on that on that on. Then you can say, why not? You can write a paper based on your challenging, based on the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge. You understand what I mean? I mean that you have to produce the paper or publication based on the theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge. The gap between the theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge. And not only that, you know that I like to request that faculty members, those are faculty members and young research scholar. Faculty members, you have to invite your research, you have to invite your students to pursue the research, because as you know that young generation they have lots of innovative thinking, but they don't know how they'll execute that one. But I believe faculty member you have that kind of knowledge, so why not you can apply that knowledge, that how you can produce the paper based on the like practical knowledge. Our ultimate target, we have to produce the publication, we have to produce the paper based on the like theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge. So those are working in the practically in the industry, so they have some better knowledge and real life application. So when they'll consult with you, discuss with you, try to get something from their discussion, and maybe it could be done on the publication. So that is the way that how we can get the research topics. I try to do the first my first part discussion in this way, that you can get some idea about the your topics. Okay, and but then you have to produce the paper based on the research topic. Basically, there are different types of paper. I think my earlier speaker also discussed that format of this one, outline of this one. I don't want to discuss too much, but I like to clarify the few part from there. Basically, when you say the research paper, it could be conference paper, journal paper, book chapter, and book. Uh, Before going to discuss about this part, I like to ask Dr. Niket Hamja, if you kind of program, Dr. Niket Hamja and our team, they're working for this one. We are trying to come up that kind of avenue, that how we can create that environment, that at least we have to do the systematic research approach. And I believe, especially the suppose those are the like this kind of the like personal people like you and others, those are thinking of this one. We have to move forward. We have to try to discuss with the like young scholar, so that they can feel can interest and they can come forward, because you know that we have to start, we cannot do this kind of approach in the like senior people. We can do this kind of approach to the young scholar, so that they have to think how they can go to systematic way to get the research work. And if you do, when you are the good researcher, you will get the honor, you get the money, you will get the everything, you get the position. That's not the matter, but you have to go that level, and for that level you have to work hard. But unfortunately, most of the people, they are thinking that research is a shortcut process, how they can get the shortcut. But it's not the way that how you can get the shortcut. It is a long way, long process. So that's why this kind of training program and the workshop and the seminar is a quality speaker will be there. I today morning I noticed that the speaker also talking about this issue. We also think the quality, so that means we need a quality speaker, international speaker. Those are working international level. We should not think on the based on the one country. We should not think about the based on the like 2 or 3 countries. We should think the global platform. What is happening? Means we have to move that level. So that's actually the Indian students, they're very laborious. They're very good worker. So
Yeah.
when they get the pressure, they can manage it. But unfortunately, when they are their own country, they cannot manage. They don't bother.
Yeah.
But when they,
Yeah.
when that level, I'm
Yes.
surprised.
Exactly.
University takes
Yeah.
Arlington. I'm so surprised. I'm
Yeah.
involved with industry and engineering in the supply chain. There is a lab. All are the like the research assistant, RA, TA, all are the Indian, and I'm so surprised. So what I said that yeah, we have to problem in our subcontinent. Problem is that we don't have that kind of system, because initially our tendency was the teaching, and we don't think the research. But I believe if we could start this kind of thinking, that how we can move to that level. You see that why the world universities like Harvard University, Stanford University, Oxford University, this is the research works. So when you can start this kind of initiate research work, funding this organization will be there, automatically our research environment will be changed, and it will create the impact on the whole education system. So I do not want to say that our students, they're not capable. They are capable, but unfortunately we could not provide that kind of system. It depends many things. Not we should not depend only on the government. We should also think about the
Yes.
like private sectors as well. And that's why, like you see, you have to talking in this way. That is the positive side, that you are thinking
Yes.
how can add the values to the student, quality thinking. But if you always think that we are doing the excellent, this is not the proper way. We have to always find
Yeah.
out our
That.
weakness with the international level, and I would say the not weakness, it's the opportunity. Any kind of gap, we have
Yes.
to fill up that gap. That is the way that how we can approach. Thank you so much, doctor.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Any other question at this stage? I believe the interaction
Yeah.
section is very important. Please,
Yes.
the index journals like Scopus Index or Web of Science Index journal. Look very carefully. You are talking the CIS publication. I'm involved with the CIS publication, but I'm always mention them CIS publication. Why you are looking to get the review from like a world class people? I noticed they're sending me the one review for the book chapter, and I took the 6 month because I forgot this one. I have like other application. It's not that necessary. But they say that what they say that their answer is that they're always looking for the quality review. They say, Professor, if you spend the 30 minutes, your 30 half an hour equivalent to the 5 years for the another one. So we are waiting for you 30 minutes. This is a good point. But my question is that okay, this is from their perspective, publisher perspective, that quality papers, quality work. That's why they are waiting for the review from author. Why they have to wait the 1 year? I never request my student to publish the any journal, any book, if it is taking the long, more than 1 year, because I noticed that the students, those who submitted, they are demotivated. And now some you are a PhD holder. That is another case. I mean, you have some passionate, you have some of the passion level, but they don't have. So this is the question: that how you can go to that level. High impact papers, high impact research paper. If your paper is the like open access, automatically lots of audience, lots of participants, they can review your paper, view your paper, use your paper citation. Then your citation will be very high. When your citation will be very high, means the impact will be very high, and that is one of the target as a researcher. So that's why I suggest you that do not go for the every time this kind of self publication, this kind of like very demandable publisher in the world, because sometimes data will be obsolete. What you mentioned earlier, and maybe the when the paper will be published is useless for him because he doesn't want to keep this one after 2 years. But now he got the publication. In that case, it's better to move to the like the a little bit the shorter time, like 6 months to 8 months. You remember that when you choose the journal, I always mention this one. You have to check this one. The journal, who is the editor in chief of the journal? You have to check his profile from the Google Scholar or the Academy or Google, and who are the editor board members, and you can check their whether they have the like the any indexing, not the Scopus index or Web of Science indexing, any indexing. It could be Google Scholar, it could be AppScore, something like that. And you can check their previous issues, how many papers they publish or something like that. That is a way that at least you have to go for the publication. What I said there just now, that if it's the open access, the impact will be very high. Lots of people they can review the paper. Lots of people they use the paper citation. But if it's not the open access, like if you go to the self publication, you have to purchase. But do you think that how many people they will purchase this book? How many people they will purchase the journal paper? Only few people. So that is some things you can publish the rich journal, you can publish the rich publisher publication, but is your outcome impact is not very high. So that is another discussion. What I said that you have to think now two way. One is the high impact, or another is the high published, high good publisher journal paper or their publication. So that is the another discussion. But I personally request if the young scholar they should not go to the process, the 1 year, 2 year process. It is our kind of demotivation for one of the key points so that you can just check whether the any points are missing or not. We are talking about the various type of papers. I discussed earlier on the research paper, but there is the other paper as well beside the research paper, like review paper, like survey paper, case study. Review paper means just basically literature review based on the like the you are choosing the one topics, and based on the one topic you are collecting the 10 papers, 20 papers, and then you are compiling the papers and come out the literature paper. So this is a literature review paper. And survey paper just a very easy topic, but you like to the survey people's opinion. Say suppose during the lockdown time, during our COVID-19, you are doing the one research, whether the lockdown is required in the pandemic time or not. Yeah, everybody is familiar, so no need to discuss too much. You can do the survey, you can come to the decision. And a case study, basically case studies are industry based. Suppose those are working in the industry, maybe they are interested to write some paper, they can write the paper based on industry operation, industry function, industry marketing strategy, industry HR and practice, or something like that. So it could be like case study. So that means it is not the necessary every time you have to write the research paper. There is the publication research based. It is not the necessary. Maybe based on topic you can decide the review paper, survey paper, as well as case study. It's a more or less this is the format of our outline research paper. So let me finish the another few minutes discussion, and then I can allow you to ask the question. If you look very carefully here, outline the research paper. This is a more or less the construction of the paper. There's a title, abstract, chapter 1, introduction, chapter 2, literature review, Chapter 3, methodology. Chapter 4, model development. Chapter 5, presentation of data. Chapter 6, conclusion, something like that. I would say that it is not that necessary that every time you have to write all chapters. It is not the necessary to write the all chapter. Chapter is the section. It is not the necessary to write the all section. It depends. Say, I just give you a few examples so you can think. Look very carefully. Chapter 4, I mentioned, section 4, model development. If you have a conceptual model, if you have the conceptual model, then you can think about this section, the model development, conceptual model development. If you don't have any model, no need to think about this section. If you don't have the model, no need to think about this section. So now you can decide earlier whether you have a conceptual model or not. If you don't have the conceptual model, no need to think of chapter 4. So in that case, you have many chapters? 5 chapters, 5 sections will be there. Okay, introduction, literature review, methodology, and something like that. If you have a model, then you have a hypothesis. And if you have a hypothesis, you have to think the hypothesis testing. Look very carefully what I said. I said, if you have a model, in the model there are some few variables. To crack the variables, we need the hypothesis. If you have a hypothesis, then you need the hypothesis testing. In order to do the hypothesis testing, you need the survey. So you have to take the 200, 300 respondents' opinion. Then you have to use the statistical tools, statistical analysis, come to the conclusion or findings. Look very carefully. So when you don't have the model, if you don't have the model, so don't think about the hypothesis. So don't need to create the hypothesis. So you can decide earlier. And if you don't have the hypothesis, it's not that necessary that you have to think about the survey all the time. In that case, no need to do this survey. So what I mentioned here, look very carefully, chapter 5, we mentioned presentation of data analysis. If you do the survey, then you can mention data analysis, presentation of data. Say you don't have the survey. Your paper based on the just only secondary data. I think you already learned it in the primary data, secondary data. Basically, primary data means survey based on the respondents' opinion, raw data, and secondary data means conference paper, journal paper, book chapter. Okay, so if you collect any information, any contents from the earlier conference paper, journal paper, book chapter, we call it, this is that secondary data. So you can apply the secondary data. Now, if you paper based on the secondary data only, no survey, no primary data, then if you like to design your paper based on the secondary data, only secondary data, it's literature review. In that case, introduction, literature review, methodology, and then you have to think about the discussion and finally the conclusion. So what I said, now you can design, you have a topics, now you construct the research based on the topics. You mentioned your topics that say green supply chain management, a literature review. So this is the title of your paper. So automatically decided that a literature review. So that means there is no survey. So no need the data analysis. You just must discussion and the conclusion. So that is the way what I said earlier, that you have to think how you are designing the paper based on the topics. So you have to think about this one. Okay. I just remind you one issue is that if you design the review paper, just on review paper based on secondary data, literature review, one way you are doing construction. If you do the survey paper, especially this very survey, I give you earlier one example, COVID-19 time, if you are asking the one question, whether the lockdown is requirement is to prevent our coronavirus effect or something like that. So if you do the survey, just only survey findings, just survey findings. So you do the people the questionnaire and do the survey, and based on survey, you come to the the Excel analysis or the SPS analysis and come to the decision. Okay, findings, conclusion. Now come to the point of what I said earlier, that it's very important thinking that topic selection, and after the topic selection, next job is the title. I'd like to remind you again that you can come to the title maybe initially one or two or three few titles, and then you can rethink and do the brainstorm to come up with the final decision. Okay. Look very carefully. First of all, when you choose the title, it should be the professional, scientific, academic language. When you choose a title, your title should be the professional, scientific, academic language. And we suggest you that it should be the better than within 10 to 12 words. We notice nowadays, we notice there are few titles, very long title. There is some things that you have to confirm that whether it is a professional, scientific, academic language or not. Okay. What is the meaning? But you can ask me that what is kind of scientific language? If you say exploratory study, empirical study, if you say impact analysis, if you say embedding, it's a research term. This is something the academic language. So initially, we suggest you that you can choose a few titles and then you can rethink by yourself. Rethink by yourself. So one Microsoft file, you can write down the few titles and the rethink. You should rethink. And after the rethink, I would say that you have to do the brainstorm with your co-authors. Brainstorm with your co-authors. What's their opinion? So I said that first you have to choose the few titles, then rethink, then brainstorm. And what I mentioned earlier is very important in that sense that without the brainstorm, you should come up with the final decision. You cannot come to the final decision. That is very interesting thing is that when you design the title is the first initiative by the researcher that everybody look at the title. In order to get the idea of the title, I suggest you can do one thing. You can check the previous conference proceedings title. There is a conference proceeding. There is lots of title. Check their title. Suppose any journal site, you can see the archives. They have the lots of titles. Check the titles. And you're talking about the topics. When you check the journal, any journal site, the archive. If you check the conference proceedings, you can get some idea about the topics. You understand? That's why I said that you have to go visit the conference site and you have to go to the conference, or you can visit the journal site. You can review these papers as well. And when you design the title, we also remind you that it is better to avoid the organization name or country name. A few minutes before, there is one participant asked the one question about this issue is that impact. How you can increase the impact upon the paper. I suggest you that you can avoid the organization name, country name from the title. Say, you just mentioned the traffic jam problem in the Chennai area, India. When you mention traffic jam problem in the Chennai, India, there are some people in the world, they think that, oh, this is the Indian paper, Chennai, so why we should visit? Why we should visit, review this paper? Forget that. And you can change the mindset of the people. On the other hand, I always mention that India, they're very rich in knowledge. They're very rich in IT all over the world. Even if you go to the states, you can see there is a Indian people, they're dominating. And maybe they can claim that the US citizen, so what? But the originality from India. So they are dominating, they are the university faculty dean, they are program director, the head of the department. And this is very surprising. So now come to the question is that suppose all people, they are not the same mentality. So why you are writing the Chennai or India in the title? Why not you can write down Chennai and India in the abstract and so on? It is not that necessary to write everything because we like to get the many audiences, we like to get the many participants, those who will read your paper, they will review the paper, they will use your paper citation. And I always mention this one, it is the best if you try to avoid this one. And nowadays it could happen that the title is a question title. So that means there is a question in the title. Basically, it comes from the research question. There's another question come out there. Why you are using the one research question as a title? You have a few other research question, right? So I suggest you is better that if you could avoid the research question from the title. Yeah, you can write the research question later on, no problem. You can write down the research question inside the paper, but not in the as the title. better if you could avoid that one. Okay. And I again remind you the title should not be very long. It should not be very long title. And so we prefer the 10 to 12 words in title so that you can easily anybody can check and they can get some ideas, some point from there. Okay. You know that we already discussed the topics. You got the topic, and now we are designing the paper. Now you are thinking about the abstract. So you are designing the abstract. Okay. And you know that I believe morning session you already got the idea how you can construct the paper. You get the details idea of how you can write the paper. So I don't want to talk too much about that one. I like to talk about the basic some key points so that you can try to understand. So, but you know that when you design any paper, you never write the abstract at first. You always write the abstract at the last. So I like to talk about this one in the last part. Okay. Introduction, you got the already idea, I believe, from the your morning session that how you can write the introduction part, and I believe you also get the idea how you can write the literature review. It's very important how you design the literature review, and then there's a question is that plagiarism. When you work on the literature review, the question with the plagiarism, most of the cases, similarity index will be very high in the plagiarism due to the plagiarism in the literature review. Okay, so how you can reduce this plagiarism? I believe also you get some idea from the morning session. And then methodology part, basically this is the part that I would always mention, this is the heart of the paper, heart of the your research. So you have to understand that how you can design the, how you design your methodology. Okay, you have to mention basically your research type, you have to mention your survey technique, you have to mention the data collection, something like that. And then this is another issue that how you can collect the sample size. It means what will be the methodology you're applying to select the sample size. Okay, sample size determination and sampling procedures. You can also focus on sampling procedure for the probability sampling, non-probability sampling you can apply. And then you have to what I mentioned earlier that if you have it, you target, you like to design the model development. So you if you develop the model, that is a conceptual model. When you are planning to design the conceptual model, then your another target that you have to show the theoretical framework. You have to show the theoretical framework. So it means that if you like to design the conceptual model, before that you like to show the concept earlier works. So earlier works you can present in the theoretical framework. So it means that the previous any works we can use it as a theoretical framework, and then you can come to the conceptual model. It's very important in that sense. If you say that this is a new topic, that's the first time we are designing the model or something like that, the question will be there that from where you are getting this one. So that's why we always try to do this one, that we like to focus the previous works as we call it the theoretical framework. And data analysis part, I think you already got the idea at the morning session. I think you already get the idea this one, how you can do the statistical analysis, data analysis part. I basically request that if you are the engineering student, then you have to use the latest technological advancement here. And even if you use the business background or commerce background student, you can apply that structural equation modeling technique. It's very important, structural modeling technique in the survey. So you can use the different software like MO software, Listrel, PLS software, something like that. And what I mentioned earlier, if you have a model, conceptual model, then there will be some few variables. And if you have a variables, then you have to connect. You have to connect those variables by the hypothesis. And if you have a hypothesis, then you have to think the hypothesis testing. And if you like to do the hypothesis testing, you need the survey. And if you like to do the survey, you need the statistic analysis. So there's some consequence. I again repeat, model, variables, connect the hypothesis, and you have to do the survey. And when you do the survey, you need the statistical analysis, you have to do statistical tools. So structural equation modeling is the latest statistical tools, and which says that you have to apply that one. And then what I mentioned earlier is that when you design the conclusion, you remember the earlier I mentioned when you review the previous any paper, their conclusion, you have to check their findings, their recommendation, their further studies. Similarly, when you will design your conclusion, you have to remember this one. You have to check your findings properly. You have to write down, and you should not write any kind of statistical analysis here. You must use that academic language. I can repeat, there will be no statistical language there. It will be the academic language. If you apply the any kind of statistical language, you just think that suppose some of the audiences, some of the participants, they don't have enough idea. That's why we like to focus this way. In the conclusion part, you can write down the academic language rather than statistical language. If you say, suppose Dr. Nikit Hamja, she has a good friendship with another one. So everyone can understand. But if you say Dr. Nikit Hamja, she has a good friendship with another one at the 0.00 on significant level to tell test. Somebody they can understand, somebody they will be confused. So our target that when you write the conclusion, it will be the academic language, no statistical language. You can write the statistical language earlier, you can write the statistical language in the data analysis part, you can discussion part. So that is something you have to remember this one. And definitely you have to mention recommendation. You have to mention the further study. Your further study will come from the limitation. Your further study will come from the limitation. So that means you have to focus the limitation. So you know that if you think that I am showing my limitation, no, no. If you show the limitation of your research, it means that you try to understand what is happening. You try to focus the others that how they can do the more for the research. So definitely you have to mention your limitation. But again, I remind you, your limitation you should express in terms of opportunity. Say, I just give you one example. You are taking that secondary data. So that means you know the secondary data, like you are collecting the information, literature review. So you just mention, and this study based on the secondary data. Though this is the limitation, however, this study unlocked the further frontiers for the prospective researcher. What I said, at first we mentioned this study based on secondary data, though it is a limitation. However, this study unlocked the further frontiers for the prospective researcher. So you mention limitation and you express limitation in terms of the opportunity. You open the door for the prospective researcher. So that is the way how you can present your further study, how you can present your limitation in terms of in the conclusion part. I personally suggest you that another one thing you have to mention in conclusion, that is a contribution of research. Today after the launch, we will discuss the funding organization, funding research, how we can get the fund or something like that. And that time I will discuss this issue. But I just mentioned a key point here. In the conclusion, you have to mention your contribution, and you can mention your contribution in different way. You can mention your contribution in terms of the academic contribution. In terms of academic contribution, you can mention. You can mention your contribution in terms of industry contribution. Suppose you develop the model. Now you like to show how anybody could apply this model for the real life application for the industry. You produce the model. Now the industry people, how they can apply your model for the betterment of the industry application, industry contribution. Or finally, you can say how you can add the values to society. I would say that that it is the best if you could express that your research contribution towards the society. But is within my experience, I like to share with you. I noticed that every month, usually I'm receiving the PhD dissertation for the review from India, many states from India, Malaysia, and I'm involved with the PhD supervision in many university. I'm also involved as an adjunct professor in the different universities as well as India and Malaysia and USA. So what I noticed that most of the researchers, they could not express their contribution towards the society. So if I ask you that what is the contribution of your research, so it means that we like to know what is the contribution to the society. And I'm so happy that when your 6 days this faculty development program was designed, they mentioned in the title that Dr. Hamza and her team that contribute to the society, means research, we are doing the research for the society. We are not doing the research for promotion. We are not doing the research for the PhD. So our main target is contribution to the society. So I suggest you that when you do the research, all the time you can ask yourself, what is the research contribution to the society? That is the way that how you can get the contribution. Otherwise, I think I joined the one online PhD interview, PhD Viva, final defense. That time I asked this question to the one student in Malaysia. That I asked this question: that what is the contribution of your research to the society? She couldn't reply. She was silent. She said the many things, and her supervisor also explained her that you should say in this way, in this way. But she could not explain. It means that the research they could not think. But my request is that when you do the research, always think that what is the contribution of my research work for the society, so that you can express in terms of this way in the conclusion. So in the conclusion will consist of findings, that recommendation for the study, limitation, and finally the contribution. I think no need to talk about the reference. I believe that you already learned about the reference style from the previous speaker, so I don't want to talk too much about the reference. And now I like to discuss about the abstract. When you do the research, you just remember when you write the paper, conference or journal paper, abstract is the heart. Abstract is that not only heart, it's also glamour of the paper. So this is the question: is how we can express your glamour. Every man and woman, they love to show their glamour. Female, they're more curious to show their glamour, but men also as well as they like to show their glamour. So this is abstract: how we can show you glamour of the paper. So I suggest you that you can keep this few opportunity that how you can write the abstract in the to access the paper in the world-class journals or the Scopus in his web science journal. So first of all, it should be academic language, professional language. It should be the very in brief. You have to mention the main objective and the term you have to use. You see, I'm using some term here. You look very carefully. This study represent, demonstrate, illustrate, encompass, depicts, highlights. It's that term. It's a research term. Conceptual model, literature review, something like that. You have to mention the objective. You have to mention what type of study. You remember today I mentioned earlier, that's why. Because you know your topics now, you know your research style, so now you can design your abstract. Whether the descriptive or exploratory or quality, quantity, something that you have to mention. You have to mention your type of data, whether it's a primary data or secondary data, you have to mention. Remember earlier I mentioned as well that what type of data you can write. You have to mention your sample size determination, how you determine your sample size is very important. There are a few techniques like the table, formula, as well as references. Which one you're applying, you have to explain it. And then you have to mention sampling procedure. Basically, you have to sampling or non-probabilistic sampling, you have to mention. And statistical tools, you have to mention what type of statistical tools you're applying. But I suggest you do not use the software name in the abstract. I suggest you that it's better not to use that in software name, because if you use the software name, the question will be there. If you say I'm using the SPSS 21, the question will be there: why you are using the SPSS 21? Why you are writing in this way? So you can write to the software name inside the paper, not in the abstract. Then you have to match the findings of the study, learning outcomes. It is a major issue, but I like to request when you write the abstract, it will be the main findings. When you write the abstract, it should be the main findings, means main outcome only. No need to mention the many findings, many things. And finally, you have to mention the contribution of your research paper. Means you have to mention what is the contribution of your paper towards the academics, researcher, towards the practitioners, or towards the society. It is not that necessary that you have to mention your contribution all aspects, but at least any one aspect you have to focus. But if you can focus your contribution towards the society, is excellent. Is excellent. Say you are working on the green supply chain management, or you are working the suppose the emotional intelligence. You see, emotional intelligence you are working human resource. So what is your target? You target that human development. Why you like to human development? So that they can add values to the society contribution. Green supply chain management. Green supply chain management is green, right? It's towards the environment. So if you do something adding the values to the environment, it's adding the value to the society directly. Society contribution. Say you are developing the one model. I mentioned earlier the name of the model, ITESA model. That model, integrated tertiary educational supply chain management model. So that is a supply chain management model for the university. Now, any university they apply this model. That's fine. So that means it's a contribution to the research. It's a contribution to the industry. It is contribution to the academics. But if you design the one model, say you design the one model, supply chain performance measurement model for the manufacturing industry. So that means that any manufacturing industry they can apply your model. So that what is the contribution? It's a contribution to the industry. That's why I say that you have to define that what is the contribution of your research. It is towards the industry, towards the academics, or towards society. Anyhow, you have to explain. Is abstract, you know, the words limitation, so it's not more than 100 to 250, 120. It depends on the conference or journal paper. You have to check that one. So if you construct the abstract in this way, I can ensure that your paper must be accepted. Your topic selection, whatever, but your paper must be accepted due to the construction of the abstract. Because of what I said, the abstract is the glamour of the paper. And finally, the keywords. When you choose the keywords in the abstract, you have to remember the keywords very important. The people, those who search in the Google,